channel. In this series, we are basically discussing how to secure our custom endpoint via code resource in SFMC. If you haven't watched my previous video, I would request you to go and first watch the previous video and then come back to this video. Okay, and in our previous video, we basically discuss how we are generating V2 token and giving the authorization to the third party to leverage the code resource and perform certain activities in Marketing Cloud, right? But if you go through this block, I will also request you to go to this block. Okay, you have to basically keep in mind what is authentication, okay, what is IP whitelisting, what is user authentication, okay, what is rate limiting, and you also need to know the difference between authentication and authorization, okay, protecting sensitive data, and monitoring is one of the most important thing, and obviously regular patches that we need to do and update. Okay, so those are the basic things that we always have to keep in mind, because we are dealing with data security and also about transactional securities, right? Because we are not doing a backdoor API call, but we are coming from the front door to a publicly accessible URL and then performing certain activities. Okay, so we have to be very sure that our code are tightly secure, and I would always ask you to always take the help of your network security team, architects, data architects, and everyone who is basically well capable of understanding all the security concerns. Okay, so today what we'll discuss here, we're trying to build a use case, okay, where you have a third party, okay, and the third party might not be your client, but it might be some external services, okay, external team who is also basically working together with you in market. And the third party might be like, let's say, Azure, or the third party might be Amai or Informatica, whoever wish to be the stakeholder. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say Informatica is one of the third party, okay, or one of the stakeholder in your project, and they basically wants to utilize the data that is residing in Marketing Cloud. They can go through the backdoor process, like you create an install package, okay, define all the scopes, whatever operation they want to perform, and to the REST API, to the backdoor from server to server connection, they can basically read all the data extensions that you have in Marketing Cloud, okay, create their own tracking reports via performing certain activities like query activity. They can create a query and read the data views, right, and create the tracking records, and then create a dashboard in their own system. Okay, as a Marketing Cloud guy, I will try to restrict that no other team basically reads what is available in Marketing Cloud. If they want, we can basically do certain things on their behalf and customize the data and give it to them whatever is relevant to them, rather than giving them a full leverage of hitting Marketing Cloud. Okay, so if you see this diagram here, what I'm doing is, here, let's say this is a third party, okay, and they basically wants to send communication from Marketing Cloud, okay, via REST API, and they don't have full privileges, okay, all the details perform the send. So they will need the help of a Marketing Cloud resources like a technical architect and developers and others, so that they can perform those activities. Okay. Say for example, there is a Informatica team and they do not store the PI data. They don't have the subscriber details. Okay. And they want to basically perform a campaign send to a list of people from Marketing Cloud. Okay. So basically they need to define whom they need to send, right? They might have said, like, let's say, those people who have basically opened email in last week for a campaign one. So they can define that particular operation, okay, define those rules and other things. But to send the communication, they have to route via Marketing Cloud. Now, I am being a technical architect in Marketing Cloud. I would not open the door of the REST API for them to directly hit the REST API from their API servers to Marketing Cloud API server and perform the operation, right? I will ask them to basically send me all those details. I will capture all the details and then perform the sends. And whatever they will require for tracking, I'm going to send them back the tracking details, right? So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a custom endpoint, basically a code resource. Okay. And then I have to add a lot of securities check and other things so that no third party or no any other individual or anyone, intruders or anyone, should basically exploit that publicly accessible URLs. Fine. So for that, the first thing is, let's say the second uh, code resource is basically performing query activity, okay, on the data views and returning back or fetching back the tracking history of subscribers, right? So I don't want anyone basically hit this particular URL and get all the details. Okay? I want them to come by a secured procedure with proper authentication and authorization. And if they are authorized, they can perform that activity, right? So for that, first what they need to do, they need to basically get the access token, okay, to the first code resource. Okay. So they will send the client ID and other details. And based on those details, I'm going to send them the access token. I mean, the code resource is going to validate and send them the access token. Now that access token can be used, okay, in another API call, okay, where they can basically send the access token as a bearer token, and they can post the payload as a JSON object, okay, and then it hits the code resource. The code resource is going to first validate the access token, whether it is valid or not, whether it is expired or not. Okay. And if all the conditions satisfies, then the code resource is going to perform certain activities. Say, for example, querying the data views, okay, and fetching the records, and then sanitizing the record. And then after sanitization and everything, masking even required, giving a proper response back to the caller. Okay. So that we will be doing here, and we'll be discussing few more other things as well. Fine. And we are going in a very small steps, not doing a jump from one step to another. Okay. And this is just a introductory sessions for creating a custom endpoint. Fine. So I'll ask everyone to first go through what I've written here, okay, in my blog. That will help you understand many things when it comes to related to the transactional layer or the API layer, okay, and different architecture forms, okay, and then how you basically define monitoring and other business logics. Fine. We'll go very slow and in a step-by-step process. Maybe it will take another 10, 20 videos for me to create and upload to YouTube to help you understand each and everything what I'm speaking currently. Okay. So let's us directly jump to our code. Okay. What we are trying here, we are basically trying to sanitize the inputs. Okay. Validate the token authorization code that we have given to them earlier and see what kind of response we are building on it. We are not performing any operations based on that particular authorization code. Okay. We'll be showing you how we perform that operations in some other videos. But today we are only looking at rate limiting, monitoring, okay, tracking the IP, and other validation stops. So if you see my code, okay, the first is obviously getting the header, which is the authorization header, which will contain the bearer token. Okay. And then also they need to basically send us some payload, okay, as part of a post operation to that particular endpoint. And based on that data, we are going to transform the data, and then the operation defined, we will basically perform the operation and then send them back the response. Okay. So here, what I'm also doing here is capturing all the HTTP properties, okay, that SSH allows us to capture, like the browser details, the client IP, okay, whether where they're trying as SSL, are they coming with a with an SSL, okay, what kind of method they are performing, whether they have added some kind of a query string or not, okay. Referral and the request will be the same, okay. Referral URL would be like if they are also hitting this API from say another public accessible URL, we'll know from where this request is coming from, okay. And user agent, so understand, okay, uh, other things related to the user agents, okay. This will basically help us in monitoring what's happening. I might show you, or not necessarily, but I might show you what is getting captured. For the postman, I haven't seen any request URL, referral URL is coming. Request URL is the same as the code resource. What might happen is somebody, let's say some smart guy is there, he got this URL through some means, okay, and then he basically run a loop, and then he keeps on hitting this URL, okay, like a DOS attack, right? So all those things might happen, okay. Now if somebody is doing a get, basically if they are trying to do a get, I'm simply going to send them a response saying you're not allowed to basically do a get, okay. I said 403 forbidden, you're not allowed to, and the request simply gets stopped here, it doesn't move forward, fine. Through this, like this client IP, I could know, okay, where this is getting originated from, and if say some intruder, say somebody, okay, trying to basically hit this, I can block that IP. Going forward, I can have another validation check whether this IP belongs to the whitelist or belongs to the block list, and then perform certain operations. Okay, let's move forward. Now, Uh, in this part, we are basically sanitizing the input that we're receiving. Okay. And then the first thing is to validate the authorization code, the access token they're supplying. Okay. So first we go and validate the authorization. Okay. So let's move to the authorization function. Yeah. Okay. And if there's no access token, obviously I'm saying you're not authorized. Please validate your access token. Okay. If this is empty, if it's not empty, because we have asked them to add a bear type, okay, as an authorization, so it becomes safe. So what I'm going to do here is to do the split on the access token to make it to check whether that bear token has the access token and the token type. Okay, and based on this access token and the token type, I'm going to create a complex filter, and I'm going to validate my data extension, that is a token request. What I'm also doing in my another code resource when they are asking for token is storing the expiration date. Okay, who had basically requested that token, what was the token value that was generated, and all this information for monitoring and other purposes as well. Okay, so based on this access token, I'm going to retrieve the data extension, fetch the token. If there is no such token available, okay, then I'm going to say you're not authorized. Again, I'm saying please validate your access token. Fine. Now this part is done. Oh, we are getting our access token. It is stored in our data extension, which is not yet cleaned. Okay. So we have the data in the data extension, but the next step is to check the expiration date. If the expiration date is basically expired, okay, which is not valid anymore, then I'm going to send them a message saying the token has expired. Fine. Else, the token is okay. We can add more validations here, but till now, this is fine. Okay. So we are sending a response saying whatever we fetch it from the database, okay, in the data extension, we're sending it back. Now, what next? So this part is done. Okay. So we got the response. In the response, we have also stored the code. Means it was successful or not, whether all the validation checks were successful or not. So in the response code, if that is 200, and if they had posted some payload, okay, what I'm trying to do here is I'm generating a JSON Web Token. Okay, I'm going to explain you this. Why this is important, I'll tell you later. Okay, so for this JSON Web Token, remember we have a function called get JWT, but it's only applicable to AMP function, not to SHS. So here, what I'm doing is in this line of code, I'm executing the uh, AMP code inside SHS. Okay, so with that data they have posted, okay, I'm converting it to that particular payload into a AMP JSON and executing this AMP block. This signing certificate number, you can generate your own signing certificate generation number like a private key, or whenever you create the install package, as I said earlier, uh, where you are not defining any scope, okay, only have the offline, okay, where no scope is defined for that particular install package. You also get the package ID and you also get the JWT signing certificate. Okay, so for that also you can leverage and do this. Anyway, I've hard coded it here, but that's fine. And then with tweet as content and getting whatever output was there, right? So I'm executing this block to this particular tweet as content. Okay, you can also like write this full AMP script code into a code snippet, and then you call a function like platform function content block by id or key and execute, it will execute. Okay, and then you can return the AMP variable. Okay, so I'm returning the AMP variable. So it will generate you the JSON Web Token. Okay, and basically the payload becomes the claim. Okay, so with HS256, it will be this particular payload would be encrypted. Okay, but here what I'm actually doing is, it might sound funny, whatever payload they are sending us back, on based on that particular payload, I'm using HS256 encryption, okay, with the signing certificate and sending them back. That is not what is intended to do. Okay, slowly what we are going to do here is basically, with the JSON payload they are sending to us, okay, and the operation they want to perform on that particular payload, we're going to perform this operation, okay, and whatever is the output, that will be the part of the payload, okay, and then we are going to apply the JSON Web Token to basically encrypt that particular payload and send it to them, okay, and in the end they have to basically decode that payload, okay, and then use it, so that I'm basically securing the data between two parties. You can basically go to Google Baba, okay, and they say JSON Web Token and go to the official website JWT.io, okay, and you'll see JSON has three parts. One is the header, another is the payload, and the third one is the signature. Okay, so what algorithm we used? We used obviously HS256. Also, we have used the same, right? HS256 type is obviously JWT. Okay, these are basically base64 encoded URL. Okay, so they can apply base64 decode and they understand the algorithm. Okay, the payload basically currently we are sending them the payload is similar to what they are sending us, right? But when we perform certain operations, we can create a payload. Okay, on this top of the payload, we can apply this algorithm and then send it to them. Okay, this is also basically base64. So if they do a base64 decode, they will get the payload, right? They will not be able to basically get the signature, the secret number. Okay, uh, this is not in the form of base64, but somebody says that in JavaScript this is quite open. We can also see the secret here. Okay, but I haven't tested it, so I can't comment. So my simple idea is, going back to this code is, okay, we are wrapping the response in with JWT and sending it across. Okay, so it is for them. It's not like they will just get something like a code token. Okay, on top of the token, they have to decode it, extract the payload, and then do whatever they want to do. Okay, so that's the idea behind. I'm still working on this. It's not fully done, but I'm going to show how this JWT is going to basically enhance the security. Okay, let's move to our demo then. Okay, so I go to my Postman, right? So here, so this Postman, uh, this was the first code resource through which we are basically requesting for the access token, right? And here I'm not exposing any REST API or endpoint or the SOAP API endpoint or anything. Okay, I'm only giving them the authorization code with saying that this should be a bearer type and this is going to expire at this particular second and all. Okay, and this is the REST endpoint that you need to invoke if you want to perform certain operation. And this is basically I have hard coded to my blog, but this will point to the actual code resource where they want to perform certain operations. Okay, so here if I click here, I'm going to generate this token. So this is the refresh, the new token that I received. Okay, now this was the where I was generating a JWT response. Okay, so if I hit this, obviously it's going to say it has expired. Okay, and let's say if I copy this, and then I'm going to do certain thing here. Let's say, let's paste this. Okay, and here, when I'm copying, let's say I have a double quote here and hit it. Okay, it will say not authorized. Please validate your access token. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. Okay, and then hit it, and then I'm getting back the JWT. Okay, so this is basically, if you decode this, I can show you this. Okay, like I have a payload which is this one, flights, origin, whatnot, right? So this is I copied from the builder JSON Rosette JSON. Okay, you can play with this. Let's say I copy this JWT. Okay, I go to that website. Okay, and then you have one place, playground. Wait a minute. So you have a debugger playground, right? So here you have this encoded format. So I'm going to clean this. Okay, not allowing to clean everything. Okay, now it's clean. I go back to my, let me copy this, paste it here. Okay, so you see this payload, the same payload, right? So if you see here encryption, right, the secret key is hidden. They will not be able to basically see what signature key that I have applied. Okay, but definitely they can see this payload. Okay, and they can transform this payload, and then they can store or do whatever. So I'm securing the response. Okay, where transmitting the data. So that's my idea. I'll continue creating few videos. Okay, and show you how we can do certain activities, and then show you how we can create this JWT, and then how at the other end we receive the response and transform the data and store it. Right? Hope you like this video. Give a thumbs up if you like, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer. Okay, thank you all. See you in some other video.